Okay, so I did my presentation on aquaponics. So, what is aquaponics? Aquaponics is a system of growing food without soil. The way this works is by filtering water that has been mixed with nitrites and nitrogen from fish excrements. Putting the nitrogen-rich water into the plants so they can live without soil. This can be helpful. This can be a helpful system if you don't have much time on your hands and you don't really want to take care of plants outside of your house. So, like all plants, aquaponics has its own nitrogen cycle, and the nitrogen cycle for aquaponics is a set of 5 steps. The first step is feeding the fish nitrogen-rich fish food. And then once the fish has digested it and gotten rid of it, these tiny bacteria inside of the fish tank eat it up and form it into nitrites and nitrates. Those nitrates and nitrites then go into the plants, and that cycle is started all over again. Aquaponics is meant to be an almost self-sustaining system. The parts that do not make it a self-sustaining system or a closed-loop system is the fish food and the light fixtures that you would need to put in to act as a sun, and then the heat for the water. Other than that, the system is pretty much self-sustaining. And what it means to be self-sustaining or a closed-loop system is a system that has no outside sources touching it. So everything that happens in it comes from itself. Like, for instance, pump in a fish tank. It pumps water through the fish tank and never touches anything other than the pump. So I also talked about the laws of thermodynamics and the conservation of mass. As you can see, I only found one picture, which is for the laws of thermodynamics, which states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed at any time. And that is the same, basically the same setup for conservation of mass, which is matter, matter, laws of conservation of matter, right? Which is mass or matter can neither be created nor destroyed. And those two are very important because it is basically what holds up the whole entire system of aquaponics. And without energy, the fish won't be able to survive. Without matter, the plants will not be able to grip onto anything. And so those are the life and blood of aquaponics. So with aquaponics, you will not really get this same kind of pests because it's not this big garden. So you won't have all these different pests. You will mainly have aphids. And a good way to get rid of aphids is by companion planting, which is if you, for instance, take broccoli. If you plant broccoli next to garlic, the aphids will eat the first broccoli, but move to the garlic instead of eating all the other broccolis because it won't know which is which because the scent of the garlic is too overwhelming for them. And so that is very easy to do since some aquaponic systems are very small and won't take up much space, so you can have not that many broccolis for garlic, or not that many garlic for broccolis. So it can be easy to take care of pests with aquaponics other than, instead of having to go in with pesticides and removing pests with harmful chemicals that cause runoff like big farming companies do. Although aquaponics isn't that big nowadays, like not that many people have heard of it, it's still a very viable food source for a small family or a big family. Mainly because, I say small family mainly because you can't plant that many plants over a long period of time. They'll, usually home aquaponics systems are very small, so they only can hold up to 4 or 5 plants. Unless you buy a commercial size one, which can hold up to 20 or 30 plants, and those tend to be very expensive. So the aquaponic systems that civilians tend to buy are the home aquaponic systems, which can only feed themselves. So it's a viable food source for smaller families instead of a community. So that is one setback of aquaponics, which leads me to my next topic, which is the pros and cons. The pros and cons of aquaponics, there are more pros than cons. The con to aquaponics is the amount of electricity and heat that goes into keeping the aquaponic system going. I say this because it will rack up a lot of money on your electricity bill, because the lights have to be plugged in 24/7 for the plants to grow when there's no sun around. The pros are you will not have to travel as much to buy vegetables, because you can have them growing in your house, so they'll be much more fresh than the vegetables at a supermarket, and you can have them whenever you want, pretty much, because you can grow them whenever you want, as long as you have a source of energy. Also, you can, so yeah, those are the pros and cons. My conclusion is aquaponics must help solve the problems coming from the industrial food system that has formed mutants like 8-legged frogs and ruined the ability to drink water from farm towns in California. The industrial food system is a system that uses chemicals and steroids to produce more and more food so that companies that sell the food can make more money. I think that aquaponics can help solve that problem, solve the problem of industrial food systems, because it will ultimately remove GMOs from your food, giving you a better tasting vegetable or fruit, even though people use aquaponic systems. So it will give you better tasting vegetables and fruit, and you will also, one by one, be able to remove companies like Monsanto if you do not buy their seeds. Okay, questions?
Rhett?